Finance Committee meeting. The Finance Committee meeting number 6-25 is in the Water Center and being on Zoom and on live stream YouTube. We've got a quorum. It is 2:19 in the afternoon Mountain Time, and I think we're ready for introductions and attendance.
So, Madam Chair, we'll have Jennifer do a roll call of committee members.
Sure. Chair Cole-Hansen.
Here.
Mr. Gibbs.
Here.
Mr. Raybould.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson.
Here.
Mr. Van Stone. I don't think he's here.
And then a roll call of other board members present, but not on the committee.
Absolutely. And that'd be Mr. Barker. You come back. Mr. McMahon.
Here.
And Mr. Olmstead.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. The next item of business is the measuring and monitoring grant recommendations.
I'm going to turn this one over to Justin Ferguson. These are the measuring and monitoring grants that were rolled out to assist with improving measurement, monitoring, telemetry across the Eastern Snake Plain.
All right, welcome, Justin.
Good to see you. We need just 1 second and I can fire up screen sharing. Let's see, and while that's getting going, there we go. So like Brian had said, these were grants that were rolled out specific to the ESPA to support kind of the same goals that you had funded under a grant program back in the spring using reclamation funds. So the idea is the installation of telemetry gear, monitoring wells, things of that nature, things to help people meet their obligations under the Surface Water Coalition agreement back in 2024. Jumping down to just some key elements of the criteria, and they'll look really familiar. These are the same criteria that we had used under that previous program back in May. Just expanded. So the installation monitoring equipment, measuring devices, we've also included software development, support infrastructure, and things of that nature. The eligible entities ended up staying the same as our previous program. The geographic area was limited to the ESPA area of common groundwater boundary, or the ESPA River Plain common groundwater boundary. Got out ahead of myself. And then these are a 50% cost share up to $250,000, just like the other grants. Something I did want to highlight though is this part here, that the projects are limited to the common groundwater boundary, and we'll come back to that in just a second. We got the applications to our review team. They were scored and put into, all of them scored great. And so we've put them here just in alphabetical order. This would be staff's recommendation to fund the telemetry and monitoring grants for this round that closed back in September. One thing I did want to bring to your attention is this line right here for the Raft River Groundwater District. Currently, they're not part of the ESPA boundary, but they will be brought in, we would imagine, by December. And so staff would recommend funding these contingent upon them being brought into that boundary. And with that, I can stand for any questions, and then we'll jump to the next one.
All right, are there any questions about the scoring or the applicants? I'm not seeing any.
Oh, well, Joanne, this is Jeff. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Just to clarify, and this is our own internal grant program. This isn't attached to the funding that we received from the Bureau of Reclamation.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I assume, will we see a resolution at the full board meeting
Yes.
with the contingency noted in it as a whereas?
I can make sure that that's noted in there. Right now, I have a draft for today, but I'll make sure that that's noted in a whereas.
Okay,
Right. But before that resolution, I do have one more memo for consideration. This is covering the telemetry grants that were awarded back in the spring using funds under funds from reclamation. So a little backstory, the criteria is identical. It's just trimmed down. But what we found was that reclamation wasn't able to get us those funds for this fiscal year, and they're not sure about whether we'll be able to get them next year. And so kind of getting to, we put it together and would propose that we roll these grants into the ones that we had just looked at and fund them all using board funding. And then staff will work with reclamation on reimbursement and kind of the background. Let's see. And I can pause there for any questions, or I'm happy to jump to the table here. These were the grants that were awarded back in the spring. The two purple ones on top here from Bingham Groundwater District are repeat applications. So we got a hold of the project sponsor and we've kind of consolidated that into a single application, stretching both rounds. And so what that would look like is a total, oops, and I can jump down here. I've got the table right here. So what that would look like is the 30,000 and the 250,000 would be consolidated into the applications that they have just put in now. The total of that first round was 566,000. The new funding comes in at about 972. If we take out those consolidated applications of 280,000, the total funding obligation for both spring round and this current round would come in at $1.23 million. And I can stand for any questions. Otherwise, I do have the draft resolution, but I will also make sure to note that whereas for the raft.
all right, committee members, are there any questions?
Madam Chair, this is Dean. I have a question on the Bingham one that had meters and telemetry. Now, is this portion, I think back up the.
Oh, let's see.
Okay, the one that says meters and flow meters and ethos integration.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
So does this includes replacement meters in districts, or what does this include?
It does. So when we got the application, they had stated that they were looking to replace end of life meters. And so we did a little looking around. We got a hold of Tony Dixie, the project sponsor for Bingham. And really what they're doing is replacing meters that aren't compliant, that aren't on the board's approved flow meter list.
So I have some concerns that if we start down this road, that we're going to be buying all the meters on the plane
Annually.
Exactly. And I've got some, I mean, I think the ethos integration is fine, but I think if we open this door to take end of life meters and meters that aren't in compliance, because there's still a lot of meters out there that they were approved when they were put in and they're still operating. But I'm afraid we open this door. I don't know how you ever stop it. The ethos integration, I'm fine with all that, but I have some real concerns about opening this door on flow meters.
Any other committee members express the same concern?
Well, Madam Chairman, this is Jeff. I am a little concerned that this goes beyond the scope of what we thought we were offering for grants. The meter itself, I think, goes beyond telemetry. So, and I don't know what the breakdown is in this request and total project cost. How much of that is for the integration to telemetry and how much of it is flow meters. But I have a concern along with Dean that I don't think the intent of this particular grant was to buy flow meters. And I think we need to have a more in-depth discussion before we start down that path.
And I can break out, I can work with Tony. I want to say he's sent over a list of how that breakout could look like between the ethos integration and the flow meters, if that would be helpful. I know a couple other projects were also kind of going down that same road of flow meter installation, and so I can work with them as well.
Justin, I'm sorry, Madam Chairman, are you aware of any of these other grant requests that include the purchase of flow meters that we're looking at?
You know, offhand, I'm not positive. I had made a note that the Bonneville Jefferson was a flow meter installation, and then the project in the Raft River, I had noted was a flow meter install, but I should have made better notes to see whether it was a replacement or a fresh install.
Right. Okay, so one way to move forward would be to approve these grant applications with the purchase of flow meters not included,
So,
subtracted.
Madam Chair, this is Dean. I think, I may be wrong, but I think the groundwater district, the Raft River, I think they were some flow meters for some recharge basins, is I think what theirs may have been.
Yep. That's exactly correct. No,
So I think let's look at that different than we look at, the ones that everybody else on the plane has, where we all had to go, we all have to buy our flow meters on our wells. So I think we look at those flow meters different than we look at the ones on the wells.
And the reason that you're saying that we would look at them different is because that is a new meter purchase,
That's
not
a new
replacement.
Yeah, that's a new meter purchase. And then everybody on the plane, at least down in 130, we've had meters for years and years down here. And everybody, and they all have a expiration date on them, and you all have to replace them. And that seems to be a different category in my mind than the new installations that they're talking about in Raft River.
Madam Chair, this is Jeff. If the Raft River flow meters are for recharge, should we not be considering under this, under our recharge funding program and not our telemetry program?
That's a good question.
I'm getting a head shake no from Wesley.
Wesley says no.
Wesley's coming up to speak with us.
So the reason I was saying no on that is, as of right now, technically they're not in the ESPA, so therefore not part of that program.
But they
Now,
will
I
be,
understand.
yeah, all of this is subject to them being included in the area of common groundwater.
Right, we could. Then it would be looking at, do we want to include their recharge? So does that open them up for us doing projects in the trib basins and whatnot as part of the board's program? Because if it's not the board's recharge, then that could open it up as like,
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Got it.
maybe we should just leave it here then for now until the Aquifer Stabilization Committee defines how they want to handle that.
All right, at this time, let's look at the resolution.
All right. So jumping to line 4, lines out where the criteria was to meet the 2024 stipulated mitigation plan. And that the application window is open till the last Friday of September. Line 14, staff received a total of 9 applications for $972,000. Getting down to line 28. Now therefore be resolved, funding be approved for the projects listed on attachments A and B, and those are those two tables that we were looking at. And then authority to execute those contracts. And I'll make sure to add another, be it further resolved, that funding is only available to the raft contingent upon them being brought into the
Area
common
common
ground.
groundwater.
Yep, that's exactly right.
You could add a second, therefore be a resolve that subtracts out replacement flow meters
Yes.
Okay, I will absolutely do that.
forward.
So I don't know if everyone heard that, but then a second whereas where it would replace, where it would take out, remove any funding for replacement flow meters.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
Okay. So committee members, are there any further discussions before I ask for a motion? Board members, any other board members not on the committee, do you have any comments regarding this program?
Madam Chairman, I would move that we recommend this grant funding schedule and the accompanying resolution with the amendments that we've just talked about to the full board.
Is there a
Madam Chairman,
second?
I'll second this, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. So it's been moved and second to move forward with this grant program with the modifications noted. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item on the agenda, the Littlewood River Channel, the City of Gooding, excuse me, flood control project.
Yeah, Amy Castle will lead off on that one, Madam Chair.
Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Madam Chair. How are you today? Thanks for having me. This next presentation, Jennifer, a quick question for Jennifer. Are you able to bring up Samantha's PowerPoint, or should she go ahead and share her screen?
She should probably share her screen
Okay.
if she's able to. If she's not, then I can try to find it. I think I have it as a PDF.
I think she said she could. Will that work for you, Samantha?
That is fine. I believe we kick off with Larry and then I will share the screen.
Yeah. So, yes, Madam Chair, this next topic for discussion today is the City of Gooding. The City of Gooding has received Regional Water Sustainability Project funding back in, I believe it was May of 2024. We entered into a contract with them. As a reminder, this project is to reconstruct the Gooding Canal, which carries the Littlewood River water through the city of Gooding. That channel has been deteriorating for quite some time. The city's been working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on this project. And in March of 2024, they entered into a project partnership agreement between U.S. Army Corps and the city of Gooding to address this project. And at the time, the budget for the project was projected to be around 40 million. And the board's contribution was a 10% cost share, which is 4 million. Since that time, they have determined that that budget will not, their budget has increased. And so Larry Bybee with the city of Gooding is here to address that, as well as Samantha Cox will present. She has a few slides, a brief presentation to explain why that budget has increased and what they're hoping to do to address that.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I appreciate your time today. We truly value your support of our project in the past. Without it, we wouldn't have a project. As Amy indicated, and Samantha will do an amazing job trying to help work through how these costs increased on us. Essentially, in a nutshell, we are kind of left with three options. The first one is to go with the money that we have, and I'm going to let her explain it in detail, but I just want to give you a brief, reason why I'm reaching back out to you. I've also tried to form new partnerships in finding other sources of funding for this project, but quite honestly, I've found it to be very difficult given the nature of the work to try to build anything as quickly as the relationship that I have with you. So with my tail between my legs, I came back and emailed Amy about, so would the board be willing to listen to me again? She gratefully got me an invite to meet with you. Just from the city's perspective, here's where we're at. We have the option of just going with $40 million, which is a bare bones package, doesn't address the issues that are of concern to the community. The full funding of the project would require congressional authorization in any climate, and certainly in today's climate. I don't think that that's something that the mayor and the council found to be a palatable number one option. So they've kind of given me the task of trying to hit that middle ground, which is what Samantha's going to speak to. The federal government has abilities to allocate funding for their projects. So there's a middle ground that's what the council has directed me to try to do, is to come up with the additional funds for the city's cost share of the project that Samantha is going to describe. And with that, I'll lead into Samantha. And obviously I'm available if there's any questions for this from the city's perspective. But I think Samantha can really kind of explain why we're here, where we're at today.
Very good. Thank you, Larry, and good afternoon, everyone. I am, let's see how well I do here. Okay. So is my PowerPoint slide being presented?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So as Larry and Amy both have summarized for you, going through the design of this project from May, when we received the funding, to approximately July, when we got completed our 60% design package, it was determined that the costs to rehabilitate and repair the entire channel, which approximates a 0.89 mile of length in the city of Gooding, it pretty much doubled in costs for the cost estimate. Shown on the screen right now is the comparison and identifies the drivers that increase the costs. Going into 24, when we received authorization to move into our design phase, the soil conditions around this channel were unknown. There was an assumption in building the cost estimate to justify the 40 million that we would excavate only 2 feet behind the walls in order to repair or replace them. We also assumed that we would be able to use soil nails to help anchor concrete panels. There was a cursory hydraulic analysis during this feasibility phase of the project, which provided a broad overview of the problems, but it was not a detailed analysis. There were no models built. We did not have any documented site layouts or roadway adjustments to accommodate the bridge replacement requirement, which was noted in our authorization. And we also assumed we would do a design build contract, meaning minimal design effort with the Corps of Engineers design team, and we would contract out the design, including the construction. Since kicking off the design phase in May of 24, we have accomplished 21 geotechnical samples, soil samples along this channel, starting from Nevada Street, going upstream to, I don't think there's a street there, but essentially completing 0.89 miles of soil samples. This assessment of these samples and review, intense review of the design, it determined we have to excavate approximately 15 feet behind the channel walls. This also includes bringing in more suitable soil for stabilizing and supporting these new walls. The reason is because the soil around this channel is not structurally sound for the work that needs to be done. In the design, we evaluated multiple options for replacement of the walls, and it was determined the best path forward, both for structural integrity and for the city to maintain this channel moving forward, was to use concrete gravity blocks. We've also completed a hydraulic modeling of the existing conditions of this channel, which helps us identify the most critical aspects of the channel with regards to flood risk. It's through that modeling that we've been able to identify exactly areas that need to be completely replaced versus what can just be repaired. The design assessment of the bridge and the associated roadways has identified new elevation affecting the approaches and the vertical curves, also new roadway alignments, and more concrete within the abutments and footings to support these bridges. That has also escalated our cost requirements. And then there's roadway and pavement replacements as we proceed through this channel rehabilitation. Because of this assessment, we have worked with our leadership, both local and at our division level, to determine that we need to do a design bid build contract, which means the Corps of Engineers will do 100% of the design, and we will contract only the construction efforts. This part of the reason to move this pathway is because our agreement with the city is they would obtain land easements, right-of-ways, replacements, and disposal areas or documents. In order to solicit this contract, we need to know the city has those easements in place and they are certified. That way, by going design bid build, we are able to control when solicitation of the construction can occur and be able to flex either if the city obtains those easements earlier or if we need to extend our solicitation date as the city navigates those easements. I do want to point out at the time in 2024, essentially this was a 5% design maturity. As of today, we are at a 65% design maturity, which provides a more confident number on the cost estimate. Let's see if my screen, there we go. So we have two courses of action that we are wanting to move forward with. The first one, as Larry had indicated, is to work just within the fundings we have on hand. What this gets us and able to provide the city is approximately channel rehabilitation up to their Montana Street, which includes the bridge, or 3 bridges, vehicle bridges. We are able to replace a pedestrian bridge at the California Street. We have a second bridge, pedestrian bridge, that will become actually part of a vehicle bridge. And then there's a third pedestrian bridge that will simply be removed but not replaced per the city's request. By addressing these elements, we are we are meeting our authorization intent, and we are staying within our cost in the evaluation or determination on what we would be able to accomplish, this is further defined with our hydraulic modeling, addressing the most critical elements of the channel to reduce the flood risk. In course of action 2, we are exercising what we call a 902 limit. What that means in layman terms is within our authorization, there is a cost escalation for essentially cost of living escalation. That's part of our authorization. It's a threshold we can reach due to the cost of doing business, if you will. What this provides us the opportunity to address even more aspects of that channel, further reducing the flood risks to the city of Gooding. We are increasing the linear feet of the channel, moving upstream even further. We are able to add a 4th bridge to our design package. But it is, like I said, it's exercising the escalation threshold, which requires the city to obtain additional funding. And to give you a picture of approximately what these numbers look like within the channel, we actually start here on the left side of your screen, which is the downstream portion of the channel, and we move upstream to this Montana Street Bridge. This is approximately what we can do with the funds that we have in hand. By exercising the cost escalation threshold, we can move further upstream and incorporating at least one of these 2 bridges based on the hydraulic modeling that we will continue to do. And again, providing or reducing the flood risk even further for the city. The schedule associated with this design package moving forward, what I show on the screen is what the team and I have developed as a conservative schedule. Essentially, we are completing our design through calendar year 26, approximately the October-November timeframe. In the meantime, we are able to work with the city of Gooding and afford them time to obtain their easements and right-of-ways needed for this construction effort. Once we have certification and validation of their easements and right-of-ways, we can solicit and award the package, which takes us approximately into the calendar year of 28. With this award in 28, we are required 2 work windows, a November through March work window, which means in this conservative schedule, we would start on-site construction in November of 28, completing it in March of 29, identifying a point of completion, and then the contractor would remobilize if needed and complete all remaining work in November of 29 through March of 30. The earliest, if the city of Gooding is able to reduce this time frame for their real estate efforts, possibly, again, as all stars and planets align, we could maybe move this schedule to the right. But the team felt it was imperative that we afford the city as much time as possible to work with their citizens to obtain these easements and allow for the construction effort to happen as smooth as possible. One element that has not been identified on this slide presentation is a dewatering requirement. In this channel, the construction has to happen from inside the channel. Once this is excavating and placing in these concrete blocks. That means we really need this channel to be completely dry. We have ongoing conversations with the deputy director there at IDWR, Shelley Keene, working with the staff there to exercise a flood, let me get my terminology correct. There's a flood risk mitigation effort for a temporary permit to dewater this channel. If that effort is not able to be successful, and we do have to meet certain water right requirements, there is worst case potential, a requirement to put a 5-foot diameter pipe down this channel to meet these water rights. That pipe could escalate our costs another $4 million. What does that mean to this picture that we have on our screen? Is this blue line, if we are allowed to obtain additional funding, moves to the left to accommodate that cost for the pipe. So as we work through our design and finalize this and work with the city with their real estate, we are working with the IDWR staff to find ways to get this temporary construction permit and allow this channel to be dried out. We do have support. I do want to say we do have support for this effort from Idaho Fish and Wildlife. We have a letter that articulates that support. So I know that Shelley Keene is working really hard to see what avenues can be exercised on the IDWR side. I believe that was all the items I wanted to address and share with everybody. And at this point, I would open for questions.
Okay, committee members, are there any questions for either Larry or Samantha?
Madam Chairman, this is Mark.
Yes, Mark.
Samantha, if there's the potential to have to put a temporary pipe in the channel, has there been a thought just to pipe the entire river through the city?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I couldn't hear everything.
Well, my question is, if there's the potential that you may have to put a 5-foot diameter pipe in, so instead of dewatering it for construction, has there ever been the thought of piping the river through the city on a permanent basis?
I believe that's outside the Corps' decision or influence. I mean, I know conversations have been have gone on to see of temporary ways to move the water around the city for this construction, but as far as permanent, that's outside the Corps' purview.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members?
Joanne, this is Jeff. So we don't have any feedback from IDWR yet? Do we have an indication? What is the probability that we cannot de-water during the construction periods? It looked like on that chart of actions that there were going to be two years of construction. Is that something that we anticipate? We've got a huge problem being able to dewater the channel for the construction period.
So my understanding, I'm reading notes that I received. The branch chief for our hydraulic and hydrology office has been working with Shelley Keene, and he's saying that there's analysis occurring to understand the impacts to water rights. There is a belief that we can utilize these temporary permits for flood risk reduction to allow the channel, but it appears this is something that is rarely exercised, and so some of the staff is a little nervous, and they're performing their due diligence to review all the rights and understand the legal language before they give the thumbs up. There's a cautious optimism with this effort. They're just researching to make sure we're not missing hidden language.
Okay, what kind of water rights are they? Does anybody know? Are these irrigation water rights? Or are these municipal rights? What kind of rights are they?
Yeah. This is Mark. One of my questions is this a Fish and Game minimum stream flow right?
Madam Chair, Jeff, I can field that. This is the channel of the Littlewood River. So the department's doing its due diligence to figure out what downstream water rights there are below this point. And if there are none that need to be delivered, or none that need to be delivered to water right holders during the construction windows, then they can probably move forward and issue that temporary water use permit for flood mitigation. Although that's pushing the bounds of what that legislation was implemented for. So that's what the department's doing right now, is figuring out what the downstream water rights are and whether they do need to be delivered during the proposed construction windows.
Okay, and if there were downstream water rights, is there the potential to consider other forms of mitigation than actually delivering the water through a pipe? I mean, for example, if there was a herd of cows that needed a drink, could we pay to have another source of water brought in for that herd of cows, or whatever it might be?
Yeah, that's something that the parties could put together. It's
Yeah.
probably not something the department could require as part of its temporary water use authorization.
No, but I mean, if the parties were willing to stipulate that they were okay not
Right.
having water delivered during these 2 construction windows, that would take the department off the hook.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions? I have a couple. So the percent of the design when we initially spoke and committed the 4 million, I think you showed that we were at 5% design maturity. Where are you today?
We are, so my technical lead is online, Nathan Pearson. Nathan, we officially completed 60%, but I know you and the design team are still doing additional polishing, and so we're slowly getting past 60%, but the official is 60%. And with the support both on the federal side and the non-federal side, we will continue our path to 100% design, which will be later in 2026.
Okay, and I assume that the 60% design level will include some contingencies. Is there a contingency for the 4 million in the event that, I guess, are there adequate contingencies embedded in the 60% design?
There is, yes. And we are also, as we develop our design, we are, as a way to meet schedule, I guess would be the best way, is we're developing a package that actually addresses both of these courses of action and be able to respond based on funding availability. I believe is what you're asking.
Yes, yes. Okay, then finally, is the percent of risk for flood greater? Is the impact to the city of Gooding much greater for the 40 million option versus the 52.6 million? What's the difference if you could quantify the risk level, is the risk, if we did the $40 million project, would it resolve 90% of the time, the risk of flooding? And then the 52.6 might be 92%? Is there any kind of analysis like that has been done?
So Nathan, and pipe in if you
Yeah.
need to correct me, but
Yeah,
I
I can-
believe, yeah, go
You
ahead,
want me to
Nathan.
add?
Yes.
We did an analysis, flood risk reduction, comparing the $40 million option with the $52.6 million option, and there was an approximately 20% difference between the two. Then that, so that's where we stand now, about a 20% difference between the flood risk reduction.
Yes, that is correct. Sorry, my brain had stopped working on me. Under course of action 1, we are achieving about a 64% flood reduction. And under course of action 2, we are about 84% reduction.
Okay, so you're before the finance committee today asking us to fund which option?
Madam Chair, if I may interject, there is no funding resolution at this time. The point of this presentation today was to bring this to your committee's attention, get some guidance from the committee members about this change in budget, and go from there, essentially. I just wanted the team to come in and explain the difference between what they have now from the board as far as the 10% cost share under the $40 million budget versus the $52.6 million budget that they would like to seek, if possible. But yes, it does require more cost share. They would need an additional $1.26 million to meet the 10% cost share under that second scenario.
And my understanding is that the city of Gooding is not able to put in any money into this project. Is that correct?
I'll let Larry address that.
Yeah, Madam Chair. So Amy had a conversation with me about would the city be willing to basically have a little skin in the game, and the answer that I had in a conversation with the mayor is yes. We understand the significance of this project, and if there's opportunity to allow us the time to pull from different departments to be able to do some form of cost share. I think we talked about 5% of what your additional add would be, or roughly 63,000. The mayor feels like that's something that, again, given the opportunity to be able to spread out over a couple of budgets, perhaps over a couple of different departments, one tax revenue and the other one maybe an enterprise fund, that we would be able to come up with the additional 63,000. Just to show you that yes, we do value the work that we're trying to accomplish, and we see it as a benefit to our citizens. Much beyond that, then I have to share, because that's my role. Is it's easy to say yes, we're going to allocate it. First of all, I would need the city council's official authorization to make that commitment to you. So if you do decide to move forward and it does move to a resolution, that would be something that I would communicate back to our city council in an official fashion and have them authorize that commitment of funds to you, and then try to figure out where I'm going to get that from. And I'm just going to offer this, and it has little value for the board, but to me it means a lot. I basically have somewhere between 50 and 70,000 a year that I'm able to use for road maintenance for 25 miles of pavement in the community. So these dollars mean a lot to me, and and they don't come without risk, or they don't come without repayment down the road in another fashion. So yes, we would be willing to show you that we are committed to this project, but we would also ask that you keep in mind as well that this cost share also comes at a price for some other service that we're providing to our citizens.
Committee members, are there any more
Um,
comments or questions?
Madam Chair, this is Jeff. It sounds like you're not looking for any action today, but I think I would support cost of action or course of action number 2, and Water Board providing additional supplemental funding along with some sort of a contribution from the city, as Mr. Bobby's indicated, they might be able to accomplish, and move forward and get that higher level of flood protection that would come by extending the area of reconstruction.
Any other committee members want to comment? You want to mention?
I'd like to take the opportunity again to thank you one more time for the support you gave us in the past. And truly, I did try to go out and find some other sources because I don't want to seem like I'm just coming back to you without trying other avenues. But if you would consider my request or our request, I'm forever grateful to you.
Well, I think that Jeff's comments kind of sounded like a motion. I think we could go forward with the motion for recommendation for the full board to move forward with this project, and if that is the pleasure of this committee. It would be I agree with you, Jeff. I think this is great.
Okay, well, Madam Chairman, I'm a little confused because I thought Amy said they weren't ready, but are we on a path here that we need to make a recommendation of the full board to provide the supplemental funding? Is that where we're at? Or are we a step away from that?
So, Madam
Args-
Chair, Mr. Raybould, I don't have a funding resolution. I was hoping, and I think we've discussed this before we know exactly what those, we know they need 10% cost share, 1.26 million. But if the board would like the city to provide some of that, Larry would still need to go to the mayor and to city council and say, you know, I went to the board, they want to see some amount of money, some amount of contribution and cost share from the city. We just kind of need to know what those numbers are going to look like, so he can go and ask for that, because that's one of the steps that would need to happen. I don't have a funding resolution at this time. It was more coming to you guys to get guidance on how to proceed.
Okay, well, that's our guidance to how to proceed. See if Mr. Bybee can get some assurance from the city for some type of cost share
Okay.
for
Yeah,
funding the.
Yeah, excuse me, everybody. I would think that 5% that we've been talking about would be a good target number if the city were to think they could do that. And we do have programs, loan programs and other things that we could probably offer to help the city acquire that cost share, and then give them a reasonable repayment window so that we didn't create a lot of potholes in the city of Gooding all at once.
Thank you, Jeff. If that is the case, I will. We have an upcoming city council meeting on the 3rd. I will put that item on the agenda, and since the numbers are very specific, 5% of 1.26 million, I will seek authorization for that, and then we can fine tune that via resolution for their final signature. But I can at least get their buy off so that we can move forward with a commitment to the board to be able to cost share with you.
Okay, Madam Chairman, what's our timeline are we putting the city of Gooding in a bind here if we don't take some action today? I mean, do we have do we need to do something subject to them coming up with the cost share? I kind of hate to do that till we know whether they're willing to do that or not. When does the Corps need to know that the city has their portion of the additional funding available?
It is, we anticipate there is some time. It's not mandatory by, end of this calendar year. But if we could get something, a reasonable understanding that this is the path moving forward, which is what I'm hearing, we can then proceed forward on our end in the mountains of paperwork that we have to do to get our share of it. So if that's what I'm hearing, I can move forward, and then it's just a matter of when funding lands. We would need to understand when the actual money would be available, so that we know how to strategize on our side. So I'm, if the board is comfortable saying, yes, this is the path forward, we just got to find, or do you need to meet again once you hear from the city?
Madam Chairman, this is Jeff. We have a board meeting scheduled on, I think it's about the 14th of November. So perhaps if the city of Gooding has an opportunity on the 3rd of November to make a determination, then we could probably take action on this on the 14th of November with the full board.
Yeah, I'll have you a consensus on the 4th, or I will have an answer to the consensus on the 4th.
I don't want to drive beyond my headlights. Isn't that possible, Mr. Patton?
Yes, it is, Mr. Raybould. Board meeting's actually the 21st of November.
Oh, okay. You're right. That's another meeting. Okay. On the 14th. Okay.
Yes. But yes, if we have an indication from the city, we could certainly queue this up for action by the board on the 21st.
Okay. All right. Then everybody would have their ducks in a row. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Board Member Raybould. All right, so that concludes the discussion on the Gooding flood control project. We all know where we're headed.
I believe so. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you.
Yep, good luck with that 63,000.
Thank you. Yeah, I already have a commitment from the mayor that we'll make it happen. So we'll find it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the flood management grant supplemental application cycle.
Right, Madam Chair, I'll handle that one. As you know, you are aware, the board gets $1 million annually in a legislative appropriation through the IDWR budget for flood management grants to be awarded on a competitive basis across the state. After the 2025 application and award cycle was complete, there is $539,000 left from the current appropriation that is unallocated. And in fact, there's a little more than that that's come back from prior application cycles as well. After having discussions with staff and with several board members, our suggestion, staff's recommendation, is to move forward with a supplemental application cycle that would open on October 31st, as soon as you would approve it at this coming Friday's board meeting, and would run through January 2nd and close at close of business on January 2nd. That would give them approximately 2 months to complete applications and get them in the door, and get that additional $530,000 allocated and out into projects working across the state of Idaho.
Excellent. And so it is asterisk that we need an action to open up this grant cycle?
Yes, what would be looking for today is a recommendation from this committee. And if this committee chose to make that recommendation, the full board would vote on that on Friday.
Mr. Chairman,
is
this is
there-
Mark. Madam Chairman,
Yes,
this
Mark.
is Mark. Pardon me. I would make a motion that we approve a second flood management grant application process for the additional $525,000 of grant money we have left from the flood management account.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to go forward with this application cycle. Is there any other discussion? Not seeing any, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, do we have any other items for to take before the finance committee?
Not from staff, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman, I
Committee
have a
members,
question. Madam Chairman, this is Mark. I have a question.
what do you say?
When is the next round of aging infrastructure grant money going to be awarded?
Madam Chair, Mark, we are hoping to have that for your consideration at the November board meeting. Staff is still working through those applications.
Thank you.
Any other committee members have any other items to bring before the finance committee? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Jeff. I so move.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, one and all.